everyone, it's Tyann with LastingChangeTherapy.com. I am here for part 3 of the Overcoming Intrusive Thoughts series. These are the 4 treatment models from TEAM-CBT. This is basically cognitive behavioral therapy, but it's been evolved into incorporating a lot of other effective components of therapy, and it was developed by Dr. David Burns. So these 4 treatment models are evidence-based, and he's done a lot of research to see what tools under each of these models will be most effective in helping people overcome anxiety, and then I've evolved them into helping my clients overcome intrusive thoughts. So with the cognitive model, we see that thoughts are really powerful in creating our reality. And with a lot of my postpartum women, when they're going through intrusive thoughts, they'll have a lot of also just low mood and also depressive thoughts. And so I just want to clarify that these cognitive tools are going to be effective for thoughts other than the intrusive thoughts itself. Okay, so the intrusive thoughts itself are often content around certain themes of harm, like my baby could suffocate, something bad could happen. They may see, kind of some graphic or violent images of like tossing the baby over the stairs or something along those lines. The cognitive model is not going to be effective for the intrusive thoughts itself, because what we see is the more that we try to engage in the content of the intrusive thoughts, the more they actually stick harder. When you try to fight them, then all of these what ifs come up. And so the cognitive model is actually most helpful for thoughts on what you're telling yourself because you're struggling with intrusive thoughts. So I'll have a lot of women who, in a moment where they have intrusive thoughts and then they engage in some compulsions, they may tell themselves certain things like, I'm crazy, this will never get better, my baby deserves a better mom than me, which is such a painful thought and one that I related to as well. Or, my family's better off without me. Those are some of the typical common thoughts that a lot of my women have after they have intrusive thoughts or because they're struggling with postpartum OCD. And so while this isn't directly addressing the intrusive thoughts, it can actually really improve their mood. It helps them to work through shame, and then it makes the next treatment model even more effective, which I'll review with you on February the 8th, talking about exposure. And so I'll share with you more specifically on how we cognitively deal with intrusive thoughts itself surrounding the exposure treatment model. So I've shared with you the motivational model, but sometimes it's helpful to apply it to these thoughts as well. And so, for example, if a mom is saying, my baby's better off without me because I'm struggling so much, or I'll never get better, the motivational model first says, how is this thought actually benefiting me? What does it show about me that's really positive? And so we're doing some positive reframing. Positive reframing is one specific tool under the motivational model. So for example, if I have the thought like my baby's better off without me, it actually shows I have standards for a better quality of life for me and my baby. I have standards for how I want to be present with my baby. It shows I really care to get better and to not stay stuck in this pattern. And so it can drive me to do better and to get better. If I have thoughts like I'll never get better, it shows that I want to be realistic, and it validates that this journey is hard. It's not an easy, quick fix. And so that thought just says, I'm realistic. I don't want to set myself up for disappointment and say like, oh, by tomorrow I'll be completely better. And so when we're hopeless about like quickly getting better tomorrow, we can be more accepting that it's a journey and a process, and then really channel our energy towards taking the steps to get better and being more patient with ourselves. So that's first applying some of the motivational tools like positive reframing to the negative thoughts. And there are actually like over 20 or 25 cognitive tools that I have used to help my clients work through these other negative thoughts. But one of my favorite ones is called the double standard method. And this is a tool that you can apply for yourself too. So you can first honor the thoughts and the feelings that came with them through positive reframing, but then you can use a tool like the double standard method, where in this tool, you imagine that you have a dear friend that you really care about. But the unique thing about her is she's exactly like you in every way. She's also struggling with intrusive thoughts, trying to get better. And she's telling herself all of these negative things like, I'm a bad mom, I'm straight up crazy, my family's better off without me, I'll never get better. And if you relate to these negative thoughts, go ahead and write them down, because the power is actually in the writing. It'll really help create more brain changes and give you more healing when you put it all down. So you can put down all of these negative thoughts and rate how true they feel, how much you believe them, 0 to 100, with 100 being completely true. And then you can engage in a tool like the double standard method. So would you actually tell your friend, like, yes, you are crazy, you'll never get better, gosh, your family's better off without you? Or would you actually give them a different message? And then put that out in writing. So next to each of those negative thoughts, write out, what would you say back to your dear friend who came to you and said, I really think I'm straight up crazy. Do you think that's true? And write out what you would say back to them. And remember, they're exactly like you in every way. And it's important to be genuine and honest. But this is a friend you really care about. Would you give them that same message? And then they may also tell you, my family's better off without me. Do you think that's true? And write out what you would say back to them as well. And then once you finish writing out your responses to your friend, you can then re-rate your belief in the original thought again. So how much do I believe that I'm a bad mom, or I'm straight up crazy, I'll never get better, or that my family's better off without me? How much do I still believe these thoughts? Do they still feel like the original ratings, maybe 80 to 90% true, or do they feel a little bit less? And often a lot of my clients say, it doesn't feel as true anymore, as I write this out, and then I realize I'm a lot more harsh and cruel when I talk to myself about my struggles. But if I were to put my struggles outside of myself, I can be a lot more self-compassionate. And then just when we give ourselves compassion through this journey, we can actually be more successful in working through it as well. So that is just 2 tools that you can use, starting with the cognitive model. And then next week, I'll give you the biggest, most effective tool for overcoming intrusive thoughts, which is exposure therapy, also known as exposure and response prevention. And I'm really looking forward to sharing those with you. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Thank you so much for your time. Take care, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.